Welcome to another edition of Jet Setting, and welcome to the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's Ken Weeb, Scott Billick here, both with the Winnipeg Sun. We're here today to tee up the series between the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Kenny, I guess just initial thoughts on the series before we kind of maybe dive into it a bit.
Well, I think it's going to be a fantastic series. A little bit of an unknown, as we know, since the Jets have not seen the Blues in 2019. Last time they saw them, Jake Allen posted a shutout against them, but that was on December 7th. The Blues were in last place in the National Hockey League on January 2nd, and for a portion of Saturday, they were in first place in the Central Division. They're one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League, and they are coming in full of confidence. They've got a goaltender who has worked himself into the Calder Trophy discussion, and they have a team that's playing a very structured game under Craig Berube, who's done a fantastic job since taking over from Mike Yeo in November.
Let's start off in goal. We got Connor Hellebuyck, who has now some playoff experience under his belt after going 3 rounds last year. Jordan Binnington on the other side is coming in. No playoff experience, not a lot of NHL experience other than the 30 games he got as a rookie this year. Who has the edge there? Is it Hellebuyck and that experience, or does the hot goalie win out here?
Yeah, it's a great question. The Blues are feeling very confident about the way Jordan Binnington is playing, and rightfully so. Led the NHL in goals against average. Obviously, the sample size is a bit small, but the most impressive thing for me, Scott, aside from the 5 shutouts, he didn't lose consecutive games at all this year, and that's something that for a young goalie, man, that's a hard thing to do. So for me, he's playing very well, but I would give a slight edge to Hellebuyck based on that experience. I mean, it can go one way or another for a young goalie. Binnington would like it to go the way of maybe Patrick Waugh, but I mean, we'll see. Hellebuyck is a guy who's highly motivated. He did not have a great year. We know that. Played his best hockey in March. But since last May, this is a guy who is disappointed about the way things ended, and he wanted another crack at the Stanley Cup playoffs. So for me, Binnington is the hotter goalie going in, but I would give the slight edge to Hellebuyck because of the experience factor.
Yeah, and in front of them, both goalies have pretty sound defenses. The Jets are going to have Josh Morrissey back for Game 1. Dustin Byfuglien. They have basically their top 6 defensemen all healthy. Colton Parayko will be back after having a couple maintenance games to end the season. They're going to have Pietrangelo. They have Jay Bouwmeester. Both defenses are big. What do you expect out of that kind of battle at both ends of the ring?
Yeah, and the Blues have Manitoba and Joel Edmondson, who plays a very feisty and physical style of game, and I think he's the kind of guy that could swing a series one way or another. We know that Pietrangelo was still one of the more underrated defensemen in the NHL, which is hard to believe because he usually plays at a Norris caliber level. Parayko has really come a long way. And on the other side, Vince Dunn's had a good offensive year. He's a really, really shifty kind of guy, gets very involved in the play. So the Blues have a very, very mobile back end, and then they have the physical component with Edmondson and Bortuzzo. So they're very good back there. Josh Morrissey is going to make a huge difference for the Jets. We know the Jets have not had their top 6 together for quite some time. It may take them a little bit of time to get together, but I mean, Dustin Byfuglien's been back for 5 games. I think there has been some rust to shake off there, but Dustin Byfuglien's also the kind of guy that can swing a series by himself. So I'd say on the back end, it's pretty much a wash.
Sure. And then up front, I mean, both teams have firepower. Maybe St. Louis not as deep as the Jets in terms of offensive talent. How would you look at that?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably a good assessment. The Blues have some guys that can put the puck in the net too lower down in their lineup. They got guys like Robert Thomas. Pat Maroon is a guy that has had some playoff success the year that the Oilers went deep into the playoffs. But that's the top end talent head to head. I think it is those bottom 6, for lack of a better term, that could ultimately determine which way the series swings. I think that Mark Scheifele talked about it again today. He's sort of been known as a big time playoff performer. He's going to have a big series, but for me, Kevin Hayes is the guy that puts the Jets over the top here. I think he was a guy that has a lot of experience. He was brought in for these type of moments, and very similar to what Paul Stastny was able to do for the Jets last year. I look for Kevin Hayes to have a big impact on this series, and we know that Nikolai Ehlers is a guy who is very disappointed about how his playoff run went last year, no goals, and he's eager to get going again. And I think Patrick Laine is looking forward to this reset as well, although he is going to start on the Jets' 3rd line. He's a guy that is highly motivated to have some success here going into the offseason.
As this is Jet setting, is there one key that sticks out for you for the Jets? I know you talked Kevin Hayes. We've talked all positions now. I mean, what's the key? Where does Winnipeg have to win the battle?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's like it goes down to the captain. I think Blake Wheeler is a guy who has provided very good leadership this year. I know the Jets went in with high expectations. They had that great start. They were well above 500 after the midway point, but their game really dipped in that second half. I mean, they were basically a 500 hockey team for a long stretch. There have been a lot of talk about the schedule and things of that nature, but the Jets are a team that made it to the conference final last year, and you know what that counts for this year when the playoffs start? Absolutely nothing. So outside of the high expectations and the motivation, I think, I mean, the playoff experience counts for something because it will allow them to probably stay more on an even keel than they were of last year when they were a young team with a lot of inexperience. But ultimately, it's going to come down to Blake Wheeler kind of driving that top line. We know that Mark Scheifele can score. We know that Kyle Connor can score. But for me, Blake Wheeler, if he has a good series, I think he can be the ultimate difference maker. And for the Jets to win, they're going to have to shut down Vladimir Tarasenko. Obviously, Ryan O'Reilly is sort of the engine that keeps things going, both as a two-way player offensively and defensively. But Tarasenko is their pure sniper. And if the Jets can limit Tarasenko's impact, they should win the series in 7 games in a hotly contested battle.
Is that your prediction? 7 games for the Jets?
Yes, and how about for you?
I'm taking Jets in 6. I think if they do shut down that top line, and I think Binnington's inexperience will kind of work against him. The stakes are a lot higher now. So, I got it in 6 for the Jets, Kenny in 7. It's been another edition of Jet Setting for Ken Weeb, Scott Billick. Thanks for watching.